Hello, hello. Do do do. So yesterday, I had drawn this pattern on the Bitcoin chart. So I will be entering a swing trade on this for today. If it goes above, looks like it's pretty close.
Order submitted.
So I might get filled right
Order
here.
filled.
So there we go. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna do a swing trade on this. So the pattern we have here, it's a bull flag, pretty strong bull move up. Then we have this pullback. So this is the bull flag. Now we're having a breakout of that bull flag. Let me make my, there we go. So possible breakout of that bull flag here. It could be early, right? We might pull back and then still head higher. So that's why I'm going to do a swing trade. If it is going to break out, I think the potential for profit is quite large. And then at the same time, the odds aren't all that high. So that makes sense that I want to do a swing trade. Let me pull up the chat. Get that on the side. Ela. I see Ela. She commented first. Okay. So buying above here, trying to get a swing trade up here. This could be a several week trade if it does end up going higher. So we'll just kind of monitor that. Very bullish on the E-mini. Checking out the daily chart. What I've been talking about for a while is this S move. So S move, we have an initial spike up, then a channel. Different ways to draw the channel. So maybe this is the channel. And then if we move our spike the equal distance up, it's going to be something like this. Or you could draw the channel more like this, which is actually how I initially interpreted it. And either way, your measure move is still going to be up here. But if you draw it like this, you've already had the breakout of the channel. This is new all-time highs, by the way. So there we go. The blue line is the all-time high on the future contract. And so we're above that. So we're kind of in the uncharted territory now. There's no ceiling for us now. It's just open space up here. I've been saying for a while now that I'm only bullish. I would not be selling. If I was doing anything, I'd be buying. So this whole summer, that's been my interpretation of it. Jack may be joining us today, so we'll see if he hops in at some point. The stream always starts off pretty slow. Kind of takes time for people to join. And then usually like an hour in, we'll have 2 or 3 people commenting and stuff. So some of the lines here. So this blue line, that's the all-time high. So we actually opened up well above the all-time high. And we actually got a couple decently strong bars here so far. So we're above 6,300. This is the highest we've ever been. The green line is the overnight high, and the red line is the overnight low. Those often act as magnets. They act as targets. So when the market sees these, if oftentimes it will reverse at them, or at least pause at these levels. Or let's say, so now we're above the overnight high here. Let's say this move up fails. And if it fails, well, there's a chance it would come back down, and once it starts moving lower, it would see the red line as the target down here, as the overnight low. And so far, I don't foresee this coming back and getting to the overnight low. This seems fairly bullish. But in the scenario where it does fail to break above the overnight high, then the next place to look is the overnight low, which is down here. But I wouldn't think about trying to sell anything yet. So I thought yesterday would be more of a trading range day. And let me clean this up and look at it. So we opened up down here, and actually, it was pretty clearly just a bull trend day. In hindsight, I thought we'd reverse somewhere around here, but we just kind of kept working up. I have these little small pullbacks, and a phrase I like to use is it got caught above the moving average. It got stuck above the moving average. Right? Yes, trading range days preceded this, but if you see, we never really got below the moving average. We just have a few little tails that got below it, and that's it. And the market just kept working up. This buy that I was talking about, there were 3 trades that I was talking about yesterday, buying the close of this bear bar. Although, I mentioned that in hindsight. I was talking about buying this bar, but I didn't quite like how it's set up. And then the third buy that I had mentioned was here. So I've left that. So that would have ended up as any of those would have been a swing trade, any of those 3, but this one that I was saying, we marked that, and if you held on, you would have gotten your swing trade up here. You might have exited below this bear bar. So either way, either you got a small profit here, or you got your larger swing trade up here. Hey, Brian. So this is the E-mini that we're looking at, the S&P future. I also have a small trade on the, this is micro Bitcoin. So micro Bitcoin futures. This is the daily chart. And what I've been talking about is we had a bull trend, then this pullback. Now we're breaking out above that pullback here. So potentially we have a couple weeks or a month of buying on Bitcoin. So if it, I mean, this is where I have my stop. So if it stays above that, then there's a good chance of getting a swing trade up here. I can add in watermarks on these so it'll tell you what what chart it is. Let me add those in. There we go. So there's Bitcoin. So I think people should do a lot more of these type of multi-day swings like this. I mean, if something's clearly trending, or if there's clearly a reasonable swing trade, I mean, take a small position and hold it for a few weeks. And the way the micro Bitcoin works, is so for every $1,000 move in Bitcoin, so from 110,000 to 111,000, that's equal to $100. So a $10,000 move is equal to $200, or a $10,000 move is equal to $1,000. So looking at here, I'm risking 500 to make 2,000. So what is that? So I need to be right. I need to be right at least 20% of the time. And if I'm at least, I think I would be right at least 20% of the time. And that's kind of how you think about like the math behind the trade. So Brian, how you been? What kind of stocks have you? Are there any individual stocks you want us to look at? I can pull up a chart of a stock and we can look at it together if you'd like. A Grant, yes, the Bitcoin target is at 129. So what I have, so this white risk reward, that's set at 4 times, and basically I'm just getting out right before the 130,000. There might be some resistance set up at that 130,000. Just because it's kind of a big round number, like 120, 130. So I'll try to get out right before that. So I'm going to hold it until it wins or loses. Now, what I think, I mean, it's going to be a several week trade. So yeah, I'm not buying this thinking I'm going to get it like today. But I would put it at several weeks. So whichever, so either I lose or I lose the, either it goes down 5,000 first or it goes up the 20,000 first. Yeah, you're welcome, Brian. No issues. I figured, if I'm going to be streaming, what I trade mostly is the E-mini, or I'll look at crude oil or gold. I mean, most of what I trade is going to be the E-mini, but even though it is valuable to just focus on one chart, if I'm going to be streaming and talking with people, it makes it more interesting if I pull up other individual stocks and we can talk about those individual charts, instead of just commenting on every 5-minute bar on the E-mini. But speaking of the E-mini, we're above all-time highs. On the index, the S&P index, we had already went above all-time highs like 2 weeks ago. But on the futures contract, this is what we're looking at. This is the daily futures contract. And the blue line is the all-time high. So we actually gapped above that, and we're looking pretty strong now. So, yes, we're looking strong. We're far above the moving average. So if we're at this potential area of resistance where we're at the all-time high and we're far from the moving average, does that mean I short? No. Maybe me 10 years ago would have tried to short here to do like a reversal trade, but so like that so often hurts you, is trying to do these reversal trades. If you're in a trend, don't try to play it too fancy. The market's going up. The only thing you should be doing is buying. If you're not buying, then you shouldn't do anything. So, really a great way to trade is identify a trend on a daily chart, and just keep it easy. Just do something like the E-mini. Right? It tracks the S&P 500. We know there's a bullish bias. We know 10 years from now, strong chance the S&P 500 will be higher than it is today. So there's always a slight bullish bias to it. And so when you see it trending, start to trend like in here, we'll consider taking a swing trade where you can hold the contract for a few months. And I think that's a very underrated way to go about it. So the third bar was a bull bar. It's reasonable to buy above that. And the fourth bar, it's okay to buy above that as well. I am surprised to see how strong we are today. Like when I was an hour ago, when I was kind of preparing these charts, I was kind of surprised to see, we gapped up above the all-time high, and now we're even getting consecutive bars up. So I said these are good buys. If these are good buys, why did I not take them? Well, we have the 10 o'clock news coming up. Let me pull it up. So here's the news. We had some stuff at 8:30, and then 10 o'clock. So we have a red flag event, ISM, the PMI. Now, is this really that important? No. Even though it's marked as a red flag, it's not important. But it's enough that it usually creates a spike in volatility right at 10 o'clock. So it's enough to, like, let's say I did buy here, and the market was going to end up here a few bars later. Well, that 10 o'clock news, what that can do, it can quickly send the market down and then up and then down, and then end up here. So all that might do is just stop me out. So rather not mess with, like 10 to 15 minutes before news, you shouldn't be entering a trade. And if it's something big like the FOMC, really, the hour before, you should not worry about it. The current market we're in a bullish market. So if you're going to day trade and look at this, the majority of your trades should be buying. When you see when the daily chart looks like this, you're stuck above the moving average. The market can't get below it. You're trending up. You're in a bull channel. Your pullbacks are weak. And then when you see like a strong bear bar like this, there's a better chance that's going to get bought, and that's what happened yesterday. That's what happened. That's happened a lot this summer, and I've demonstrated this several times where I've gone back and looked at other days in April, May, June, and we're getting these bear bars early that get bought. Like if you bought the close of that bear bar, put a stop 3 points below, and then went for a swing trade of 20 points somewhere up here. There's been many instances this summer where where that's been the case. Yesterday we were talking about Micron. Someone had joined the chat and they were saying they let's see, they had bought Micron pretty heavily right during here, so back in like 2023 24, and then they sold it right before basically this happened. And I mean that's typical, isn't it? Like they knew he sold. The big firms, they knew he sold, and he sold, we're going to buy it. Bitcoin it's at an inflection point, right? We're at a series of these previous highs through here, a triple top. We're also breaking out of this bull flag. So we're near the highs of what might be a larger trading range, what might be. But if it does break out, the potential to go up is pretty large. I mean, let's say it breaks out above these all-time highs. What's the ceiling for Bitcoin? Would at this point no one would say, if you said I think Bitcoin's going to get to 200,000 in the next few years, no one's going to say you're crazy. They'd say, yeah, it might. And this is kind of that inflection point where we're coming up to the all-time highs. We're breaking out of this pattern here. So I think this is reasonable. Keep the risk fairly small, and then try to have a larger profit. So it's a swing trade. This is the oil daily chart. I was expecting there to be a second leg off of this that started somewhere right in here, but it looks like, I mean, yesterday turned into a bull day. So that I was getting eager to sell right in here if it ended up as a bear day, but actually kind of ended up as a strong bull day. So, I mean, still probably get a second leg off of this. We'll just need to see how this works out. I'd love to see oil come down to like 50, and then I'd be pretty eager to buy like the oil futures down here around 50. Because with like the micro oil futures, it is, I think 1 cent is $1. So if it goes down, so if it goes down, so if oil goes down from 50 to 40, then that's a $1,000 move. So your total risk is not going to be that much, I mean, depending on your account size. And so there's just opportunities for lots of like small scalps on, if you're buying down here. All right, so we're about to get the 10 o'clock news in 30 seconds. This, right. Well, like I said, it's not really major news. It's just, kind of wait 15 minutes before and after to take a trade. I think with the E-mini at all-time highs like this and possibly breaking out, I don't think Trump will want to drop any like tariff news today. All right, so the news was actually exactly as predicted. So, I mean, really nothing. That's nothing there. Yeah, the stock market is, that's what Trump kind of does as his like claim to fame. I feel like Trump kind of tracks his own performance by what the stock market does. And with us finally at the all-time highs, I don't think he's going to start trying to throw a lot of negative news towards the stock market. I think he wants to let this run a little bit. So we're on the open. 50% of strong moves on the open reverse. Doesn't matter how strong they are. So this has been fairly bullish. And really that doesn't matter. It's about when you get a strong move like this, about half of them will reverse. Now, and we are far from the moving average. So does this mean I would sell? No. I mean, especially with, in general, it's best to try not to bet on, blindly bet on reversals. If you get some sort of sell set up through here, then it might be reasonable to take a swing trade back to the open. But if with this, the context is we're above the all-time highs, and we actually gapped above the all-time high, and we've gotten more buying. We've gotten follow-through buying off of that. So, you don't want to be, when this is what your chart looks like, you're at the all-time high and there's just a void up here. The only other targets are like measured moves that you can draw in. Maybe something like this. And next thing you know, you're looking at, well, my only targets are, like 7,000 and 7,600 up here. Or maybe these other big round numbers, 6,400, 6,500. I'd love to see Bitcoin really find another leg here. I mean, whether I'm trading it or not, I'd just love to see it really make a strong breakout again. Have the news put on like the Bitcoin watch again, having to go, up 30% in a day or like that crazy stuff. Bitcoin, it is something that I kind of enjoy thinking about, and I feel like potentially, it seems like everyone kind of figures out Bitcoin at once. Either they say, oh, this is what the future of like economics is Bitcoin, and then then it goes from $100 to $10,000 in a few weeks, and maybe something like that will happen again one day, or maybe it will go from 100,000 to 1,000 in a few weeks. I think like I said, people figure it out all at once, and they might figure out it's not the future all at once. Maybe quantum computing comes along and is able to crack the keys, which basically cracks Bitcoin. And so if that happens, then Bitcoin's done. So it's just interesting to think about what the future ever will be. I was looking at SoFi yesterday. Here's their daily chart. Bull trend. And you notice how it was starting to get a bit parabolic through here. Like the market was going up, and then like the bars started getting larger as it got higher, and that attracts profit takers, and we got a $2 pullback there. So let's see if we did a measure move from that first breakup, and then probably right there is how I'll draw it. So we drew a measure move from the first breakout, and then it turned into a channel, and then from the bottom of that, from the lower end of that channel, then that's where the measure move up would be. It puts it around 20. It's not bad. A lot of these stocks, like if you look at it, in April it got down to 850, and now it's a $19 stock. So not bad in 3 months. I mean, same with so many of these kind of medium cap type companies, like Bumble got down to 360. Now it got up to $7. Shows you the power of those buy the dip opportunities. Cipher mining. I assume this is like a cryptocurrency. Yeah. So I mean, $2 to $6. I mean, a lot of like really common names. I mean, like we said, we point out Bumble. I mean, Planet Labs. That's a name you'll hear around, and from 280 to 7. Delta from 35 to 50. I mean, like Dollar General has doubled in 3 months. 5 months went from 60 to almost 120. So I mean, something as popular as like Dollar General. So tiny little bear bar here. Just about a 2-point bear bar. So not enough to offset all his buying. If we look at yesterday, I mean, pretty much every bear bar we had was bought for a scalp. We'll probably get a lot of that today too. So bear bar, it was bought. Little bear bar, it's being bought. The strongest kind of a trend is kind of what we got yesterday. This undying resilience to buy pullbacks. And it wasn't super obvious till later on, because we did have the premise that it was going to be a trading range day. But when you get these pullbacks that get bought just over and over, and it never ends, and the market never gets below the moving average. They're not really pushing up the price all that much, but they are winning on time. The whole day, the bulls were winning. When you see days like this where it just worked its way up the whole day, that increases the chances that you're going to have more buying in the next few days. My friend just texted me about what he had bought. So he had bought this company, DeFi. I think his first entry was from around 350, and then went down, but he ended up buying more. So he bought somewhere around here, and then I think he got bought pretty much near the lows. It's around 260. Now he's a little bit past his average entry there. So that's one way to do it. When you have a company that you believe in and you understand, then just because it goes down doesn't mean, if your premise hasn't changed, that it's a good company, then you can buy into those drops. So 2 bear bars. Still not enough to offset this buying, but it is 2 consecutive bars. Like we were talking about with yesterday, the bulls won on time as well. And then anytime you get like consecutive bars like this, that means they're starting to win on time. So that does help the bear case. I think what we're doing here is kind of what we're doing on the daily chart. So what we're doing here, we're kind of going sideways a bit, and the market might drop a bit more here, but ultimately I think it's going to go sideways, and the moving average will catch up to it. So the bars are going to stay in this area, and you can imagine the moving average will move up. So each bar, the moving average moves up a little bit more until it gets up to the price. And what I was saying about the daily chart earlier this week, because we had this bear doji and this inside bar, I thought the market would probably go sideways, and then this moving average would catch up to it. So I think we're kind of getting this kind of the same kind of look. One way, I'm a fan of buying and holding futures. Let's say for some reason you wanted exposure to the S&P 500, but you didn't want to do futures and didn't want to buy like the SPY ETF. and let's say you wanted leverage. Well, let's see. I guess I can't pull it up on this. But there are leveraged ETFs like UPRO. So it's an ETF that is leveraged to the S&P 500. We can expect the S&P 500 to go up 7 or 8% on average. So, if you look at the last 50 years, the average is around 7 or 8%. If you look at the next 50 years, that would be a reasonable expectation as well. So, looking at the UPRO's price, so it's gone from 24 to 94 in the last 5 years, versus, so it's almost quintupled in 5 years versus the S&P, which is basically doubled. So the underlying is the same, but you have one that's leveraged. So it's a consideration. I mean, especially if you can buy it on a dip like this. I mean, doing stuff with leverage isn't for everyone, but I think people that can play it right and understand what they're doing with the leverage, then there's opportunities instead of just buying the straight S&P 500. Like this leverage helps on the upside. But it also hurts on the downside. Like it went from 76 down to 31, while the S&P did not have that same kind of drop. So that's why I say, wait till you have a bad year and then buy on a dip somewhere down here like that. If you're going to use a leverage instrument like this. Possibly a final flag. Final flag being after you've had a strong move and then you start to go sideways. Then, which we actually kind of got that here. So 5 bull bars up, then an inside bar. This might be the final move up. And then we get another example of that. So bull bar, then 3 sideways bars. So when we get those smaller sideways bars kind of later in the move, a lot of times we get one more push up and then the market reverses down. So no surprise, this is the gold chart. Gold gap down, and now we're headed down. While in the E-mini we gapped up and are headed up. So they have that inverse property. It's surprising how much time you'll actually spend above all-time highs. I mean, I don't even no, I don't. I've been trading for like 12 years. I can't even count how many times I've seen like a new all-time high. I don't know. I mean, dozens of times. Like it's. I mean, not even counting like how every day kind of creates a new high. I mean, just like after like a big pullback, and then it goes to a new all-time high. And then after it goes to the new all-time high, then it's right. It continues up. So then it's most of those days are actually at the new all-time highs. So I think that's something people overlook. It's like when they're trading something like this, then actually most of the time it's you're spending it at the all-time highs, near it or above it. So like, what does that tell you? That like what the majority of your position should be if you're going to buy something. If you're going to take a trade and hold it for a year in the mini, would it be better to buy or to sell? And I mean, knowing this, then it's better to buy. And if you just close your eyes and just what's better to do, would be better to buy. So let me show some math. So S&P 500 is expected on average to go up 8% a year. Okay. Where are we at right now? Let's just call it 6,000. So 6,000 times 8% is 480. So on average, right? I mean, just like pretend you close your eyes, you don't know what the market's doing. You just know that it's at 6,000, and on average it goes up 8%. So we could expect an 8% move. So we would expect it to go up 480 points in a year on average. So the mini is leveraged by 50. So that 480 point gain, if you buy one E-mini contract, you actually multiply it by 50. So this is your difference. So if you buy, um, so if you were to buy like the S&P 500, you would expect your return to be $480. Versus if you buy the E-mini, it's leveraged by 50, so you'd expect your return to be $24,000. So if you bought one contract and held it for the year. So let's say, obviously these aren't, this isn't a perfect comparison because buying one of these is a lot less than buying one E-mini. So let's say your account was $100,000. Okay, if the S&P 500's at 6,000, then you can buy 16. So you'd get 7,680 compared to buying your 1E mini contract. So if you're able to stomach the risk of doing the leverage futures, then your reward on average will be much greater. Like with the same account size, your reward on average will be much greater by trading by just buying and holding the mini futures. So definitely, I mean, thinking about doing something like this on a dip, it's more challenging to do it when you're at the all-time highs because your fall could be so much greater. So like if you drop 2,000 points, then that would be in the E-mini, that'd be 100,000, and then your account's gone. So it'd be better to try to do something like that during like that past dip we had. So more sideways. I mean, these bear bars are still being bought, even way up here. I mean, it's a bullish market. I expect higher prices until probably until something else comes out in the news, something negative. So like in general, I think we're still working our way up. We're probably going to 6,500. Probably going to this measure move I have drawn in. I have these vertical lines on my chart, and I made a video on how to remove the vertical lines. And I forgot. So I might go back to my video and watch that. It's always something that's kind of just barely hidden to remove the... All right, there we go. So yeah, right now, so the E-mini daily chart, it's a great looking chart. Very bullish. Yeah, I mean, yes, at some point, at some point it's going to go down. Hey, Jack.
What's up, brother?
Hey, good to hear from you.
How you doing, man?
Pretty good. I have like one small like Bitcoin trade on here. I have it's gonna be like if Bitcoin goes up, it'll be like a several several week trade. So I'm just buying
Okay.
and
I'm
just
pulling up your
just,
stream.
just doing a swing trade on it, and that's all I've done
Love
this
it.
morning.
Yeah, I woke up a little late. I saw my alarm go off at 5:15 this morning and snoozed it.
Yeah, I figure I know that's pretty it's pretty early for you over there.
I'm usually pretty good about it, but I've just been up pretty late past couple nights editing, so it's
Yeah,
throwing me off.
yeah, I know how that goes. It definitely takes longer than people would think to edit the stuff.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of catching up here too, looking at some names and oil and New Fortress Energy had a little move, which is nice. Yeah, lately I've been playing uh I'd say anything under $10 is kind of fair game for me right now. It's kind of where I've been floating around.
Okay. And why are you looking kind of in that area?
Just really trying to maximize my share count and my position size on everything.
Okay. Do you do much with options?
You know, I used to be really heavy in options, and I would kind of like to get my sharpness back with options. I used to do real good with options, but I haven't traded them in 6 months.
Yeah, when you said you were looking for like something like a $10 range, I thought that might be um, where you were thinking because like when I don't do too much with options, but when I do, I'm kind of like if I'm like screening, I'll try to look for something kind of like something cheaper like that.
Yeah, I kind of briefly went through some stuff last night, was honestly looking at oil a bunch and looking at a bunch of the drillers like Drill and like Noble, kind of looking at some of those plays. I know oil and gas is, heavily news driven right now, but I like the action. I like the stuff that moves around.
This is something I've been trying to figure out with like when you see oil spike up or spike down, how long does it take for that to reflect in your gas prices?
Right.
And it seems
Yeah, I
like
know
they
here.
raise the prices quicker than they lower them.
Right. Oh yeah. That's yeah. I feel like that's a fair observation. Um, yeah, I know here locally, in Vegas, I'd say the average, we're like in the $4 range, I'd say for at least for 91. It's
Hmm.
pretty steep. At least for us. I think the lowest we've seen out here is like 280, 290 a gallon, which was under the first administration. But yeah, we're right around $4 a gallon right now.
Yeah, not too fun.
California's up. I was just out there, and California is about $5 a gallon.
Oh
I
my
think
gosh.
where we were at was like 5.35 a gallon.
Dang.
Or I mean, Seattle. Sorry, not California.
I was going through the stocks earlier and just pulling up examples of how like since April, so many So many shares have like doubled or are up,
Oh yeah,
50%.
Delta. Yeah, that's a there's
Um,
a see here. I made a play on Planet Labs a little while ago. That was a good
oh yeah,
one.
that's when I was looking at this morning. Well, were you doing that in like were you buying that like a few months ago or recently?
Let's see. Let me look where my. Oh, dude. Yeah, my cost basis on that's 490.
Mm, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I got in a little while ago. Had it for like end of April is when I got it.
Yeah, that's about perfect. Yeah, I was talking about
April
like
29th.
you go ahead.
No, I was just saying April 29th.
Okay.
Go for it.
Yeah, that's a pretty good. It's about perfect spot.
Seeing like trades like that, that's what I've been on lately is kind of swing plays like that. Um, I like Planet Labs. I know they've definitely ran up with, they're the satellite imagery company. So that's become, with all the conflicts going on in Europe and Ukraine and everything like that, the satellite imagery is becoming more and more in demand for sure.
Yeah, I was thinking like with the B-2 bombers like leaving like Missouri um I'm surely we have all these satellites like everyone knows like what's going on. Like they can just
Pretty
see.
wild. When I remember seeing a video when the bombers left, and then somebody filmed a video out in Kansas or Missouri or whatever when they came back, and it's pretty wild. We're living in a day and age now where, the president can put out a tweet saying we're going to bomb you, and then 12 hours later we can go online and see videos of those bombers leaving Missouri, and then 36 hours we can see it on the news, and then 12 hours later we can see them land again. It's pretty
Yeah.
wild that, it's the how easy it is to post things. I mean, you can see everything nowadays. So I haven't checked the news, but I saw was it late last night? Looks like that big beautiful bill is making its way through. Last I saw it was stalled up on the House floor, but it looks like it's going to get through.
Okay, yeah, I've kind of gotten like numb to like the news on that because they keep saying like it's going to happen and then it doesn't and
Oh.
then
Yeah, I saw last night the House was voting on it, and I guess it made it through there, and they made some adjustments to it and whatever, but I guess it's coming. I mean, like you just said, they've been saying that for a little while, but guess it's coming.
right. Like I'm not informed enough on all like the details of how like the passing of those bills works.
Right.
Yeah, I was talking about like how buy the dips are such great opportunities. I was wanting to ask you, what do you think? Like, how much longer, how many more like decades will that be a thing where like you know,
The buy the dip model.
yeah, like it goes
Um,
down 20% and everyone just buys knowing that they're going to be okay. Like
right. I
like
mean,
Japan, like it didn't work out. If someone bought the dip in
right.
Japan, they would have been out. So
I think if you want to get like really like wide view on things, I think once the treasury starts to really unwind the balance sheet, which I mean, I know they've started doing that, but when you back off on the treasury buying so much, I think that's going to have an impact. But um, I mean, it is interesting. It seems like the buy the dip kind of strategy is like it works almost every single time.
Right.
And I mean, how many years are we into this technical like bull run?
Yeah.
What is it, like 15 years into this, been 16 years into this bull run?
Yeah.
Um, so I mean, yeah, I definitely think like some sort of large market correction is maybe on the horizon, but the counterpoint to that and what I kind of always think about though is look at the power and the displacement that AI has. And again, I mean that can go two ways. It could either decimate jobs or it could absolutely, uh, do amazing things for productivity. Um, I think it's really hard to say, but I mean, honestly, I think with all the AI stuff that's coming on, and then you factor in the quantum computing capabilities that are going to go towards that I think that's a lot of fuel to keep the market going and to really extend the bull market. Um, because the way that I see it is over the next 5 to 10 years, I think we get a lot more efficient and a lot more productive as, like a people just because of AI and how much productivity gains it brings. So I think because of that, yeah, it's going to displace a lot of jobs for people. But in the long road, I think it does make everything that we're doing a little bit more efficient and more, obviously, our productivity goes up, and therefore we should all benefit from that. So I don't know. It's kind of a tough one, but I definitely think the AI and the quantum can extend us a little while.
Yeah. Yeah. AI is definitely like the big wild card there.
Right.
Yeah.
Everybody's
I
talking about it.
I think about so the United States population from 1975 to 2000 increased by I think 25%, and it increased from 2000 to 20 to present by another 25%. But then the projections for the next 25 years, it's only going to go up 9%. So when you think
Right.
about like, well, the market's always gone up because there's always been a larger generation to come and like buy those stocks from
Right.
and
More 401ks, more IRAs. Yeah.
now we're getting to the situation. Well, like the baby boomers, they're actually going to be like net sellers of stocks. The largest generation is going to be a net seller because as they get older, then they pass away or
Right.
retire
Gonna
and need
need.
to sell their
Yep.
stocks um, to live. And so then you're also going to have the younger generation that's not as large, so they're just not buying as much. So I mean, it's just literally like there's fewer people to like buy the stocks. And I mean, that could be an issue
Correct.
like one day. That's basically what happened to
Yeah.
Japan.
Right. Yeah. Demographic issues and, population issues. Those population charts can get really scary when you look at them.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, it's definitely, there's a lot of wild cards, and I think AI and the quantum capabilities that's coming online is probably one of our biggest wild cards, in my opinion. Just the power, the sheer power that it'll have with a massive amount of quantum computing behind it is going to be really, really scary in some ways, just because it's going to be, and I do photo and video stuff, so from a creation aspect, you know, uh, I've been paying attention to AI for a long time because we've seen that come into photo and video creation, and it's kind of displaced a lot of editors. It's displaced a lot of photo and video people, just because now you can pop into an AI and just have it generate anything that you're looking for.
Yeah.
Um, and as a content creator, now we're dealing with, even here on YouTube, there's plenty of full AI built
Mm-hmm.
channels where, the person that you're watching is just an AI. It was a script that was generated. All the visuals were generated, and probably that video was automatically uploaded by an AI that had it programmed to do that. So for content creation and for content creators, it becomes really hard to fight that when you have this magic Pandora's box that can just churn out tons of content that, you just can't really beat. So, yeah, lots of wild cards.
Yeah, I interviewed a guy on this channel, I think in February. Um, he made, I mean, a completely, I mean, AI, like the entire process from like uploading to, I mean, everything is AI, the voice, everything. And so what his AI does, it looks over like the corporate filings, and I mean, he was uploading like hundreds a day, because they, he just, can
Wow.
press the button and it does everything. It reads it,
Yep.
it thinks about like the story to tell about it. It has like the AI voice, and I actually watched a few of the videos. I didn't know it was AI, and then I kind of was
Right.
like, wait, he uploaded like 30 videos since I started watching this one video, like. And I was like, oh,
Right.
like this must be some kind of AI thing. And then I reached out to him and interviewed him, and uh, yeah, I mean, so yeah, you see a lot of those little videos now too. Like, I'm kind of into like ancient history, and I'll see like tons of like little like
Yep.
AI generated like ancient history videos.
Yep.
I don't really click on them because a lot of them aren't like that good like yet,
Right.
but
Yeah, it's not there yet, but yeah, at the rate that we're going, it will be. And then, it's displacing a lot of creators. And I've seen, I come from obviously the motorcycle creation kind of world. And some of those people that have been doing it for a long time, some of the like real long standing kind of moto vloggers and moto content creators, actually, some of them earlier in the year kind of hung up their boots and are done with content creation and aren't putting out any new content, and they're basically walking away from it all. And they kind of said just because the way that things have changed, it's harder for them to keep up. And then the rise of AI and fighting all the different algorithms for your views and for to get your content out there. Definitely it's a grind for sure. And I think with all the AIs and stuff, it's made it harder in some senses for content creators and to make things. It's made things easier to create, but it's made it harder for content creators. So it's
mm,
kind of a interesting parallel.
yeah. I don't know. I don't think we talked about this yesterday. Um, we might have. I don't know. Like, do you think AI will like replace like or remove any like edge in trading? Like,
Ooh,
will
I
it like?
think yeah, I think that's a good question. I mean, clearly, like we are already dealing with the trading bots. I mean, how much of the daily trading volume is, completely automated? Um, yeah, how AI, kind of a parallel conversation, I guess, to the trading too is also cybersecurity, and how AI and quantum impacts cybersecurity, trading, and how it impacts, the markets day to day and stuff like that is also a very valid point to like bring up. And how does it impact those things? And I guess the answer is like we don't really know per se, just yet. But there's a lot of cybersecurity experts out there voicing their concerns about once AI takes quantum computing like really to the next level, um, how it's just going to absolutely decimate the cybersecurity kind of infrastructure and models that have been built. Um, People like CrowdStrike and Snowflake and stuff like that, they're definitely looking at that and how it's going to impact cybersecurity. So I think the big players like is that like Citadel Securities and stuff, I definitely think they're looking at AI, and obviously they've already implemented it into their, trading bots. Yeah, I think it could get really dangerous, what happens if there's a runaway event, and we start hitting circuit breakers and the computers start freaking out, it's very possible. It is scary because, a lot of these AIs, a lot of the engineers will tell you they don't know exactly how the AIs are
Yeah.
coming to the conclusions that they're coming to. Um, they they put things into them and then, hey, we've come to this conclusion, and then when you ask them, they're like, well, we don't really know exactly how we've came to the conclusion, and that's the scary part. So yeah, I mean, I think it could accelerate the good dramatically, or it could accelerate the bad dramatically. It's I guess we'll see.
Yeah, I'm kind of captivated by the question, like, what's the future of Bitcoin with the,
Right.
like, how powerful, like, quantum computing is coming along with, like, AI as well. And I just don't know enough about Bitcoin to really, you know, think deeply about it. But
Right.
I know there's a lot of talks around like 2030 or so, like what like well maybe like 20 years from now, there might be some real issues with Bitcoin and like the security of it.
Right. Yeah. It's definitely going to be interesting to see how it plays out with all the cryptocurrencies and, the adoption that we're seeing with cryptocurrency. I think what everybody's kind of looking for with the crypto stuff is like that mass adoption event of, like, everybody starts to use it
Mm-hmm.
in some sort of way. And honestly, like, here's a little game theory that I have with a stock that's involved when it comes to kind of the cryptocurrency AI kind of sphere. So Take-Two Interactive owns the Grand Theft Auto franchise. Um, there's a report coming out that the new Grand Theft Auto game that is supposed to be coming out in 2026 is going to have an in-game currency aspect to it that is attached to a cryptocurrency. Now this is where the NFT thing also starts to come in, and like digital currencies. So one of the things that Rockstar Games, which is owned by Take-Two Interactive, one of the things they want to do is attach a cryptocurrency that can be bought and sold and traded like any other cryptocurrency to in-game items on essentially like an NFT basis. So, say there's a just to explain this for maybe people who aren't following along with kind of the NFT stuff and like explain this out. So, say there's an in-game item, a digital in-game item, like it's a skin, it makes a car look a certain way. Well, say there's only 500 of those items in the entirety of the game. There's only 500 of those in the pool. So those 500 items would get attached a value with that cryptocurrency, and then those 500 would be bought and sold within the player base, right? So you're basically effectively attaching a real, cryptocurrency and a real monetary value to in-game digital assets that are unique in some way because of the NFT kind of atmosphere, the aspect to it. So they're essentially trying to figure out a way to monetize these uh, in-game items that they can make an in-game economy off of essentially. So we'll see how that plays out. It's been reported a bunch of times that Take-Two is interested in having that kind of gameplay aspect to that game. Grand Theft Auto has been one of their most successful franchises. I mean, it's, everybody knows the name Grand Theft Auto. It's one of the most popular games out there. So I do know, as far for Take-Two Interactive, I know that's going to be, at least in my opinion, a big release. I know a lot of people are looking at that. So as far as earnings and everything, it should do well for them. And I'm very interested to see how it plays out with the whole cryptocurrency thing in the in-game atmosphere and see how that kind of plays out. So I've had a position on Take-Two for probably like a year and a half, and I'm kind of looking at 2026 and the launch of Grand Theft Auto to see how that trade plays out.
Yeah. I- I've always thought that like more games should adopt something like that. Um, I think some companies want to. They don't want to get into that because they're worried about I don't know, like real world trading or um,
Regulation or anything,
yeah. And I'm kind of like, I think you guys are like, I want it in the game, you know, like,
right.
yeah. And I think that's like the future of all this stuff is like tokenization of everything, and
Yeah, I mean, you look at, they're creating things like the metasphere, and these VR atmospheres and all these basically little worlds and digital worlds that exist with, you know, uh products and services in them. And, there these products and services and systems and everything can, cross borders really easily because it's all online. So how do you you know, monetize this? How do you provide a currency here in this digital world that can kind of just transcend every sort of border? And, anybody can boot up a VR headset and jump into the metasphere, and you're in this whole different world. Well, that world is going to have a currency. That world is going to have to have something to facilitate transactions. And kind of looking at the infrastructure and the companies that are building that out, people like Meta, and then also looking at people who secure it, like CrowdStrike and Snowflake and stuff like that. It's, yeah, definitely kind of where you dive down the weeds, I guess.
so I have the daily chart of the E-mini up, and when you're looking at something that looks like this, so what do you like? What would you think about it? Where are you thinking? Try
This
to
is a
like
pretty attractive chart to me. What's your blue line?
that's the all-time high over here.
Okay, all time high.
Yeah,
Yeah. So yeah, typically when I'm looking at this, I'm using I like to use my 200 MA line and my 50 MA line. Um,
I see. I got the 200
and kind
there,
of
and
look
then
at,
a 20.
okay. Yeah, so I mean, the only thing that is concerning to me is just how much divergence there is off the 200 line. It's obviously ran up pretty hard.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it clearly a little while back, what is that, like June 19th, June 20th or whatever, it had a little test off the 200, broke below it, came right back up again, and then just ran off the line from
Yeah.
there. So, I mean, it's got clearly a lot of momentum and a strong move behind it. And then if you look back even a little bit further at May 26th, it kind of did it again where it checked off the 200 line, had another run off the line again, but it didn't have enough momentum. It wasn't as dramatic previously. So, I mean, I would hang on to this and then look for something like a hammer, a star coming up here pretty soon to kind of signal that reversal. And I mean, eventually it's going to trace its way back down to that 200. So just trying to find if you're in it already, I'd be looking for my exit point there and then looking to get it again once it checks off the 200. It's done it twice. So, I mean, third time's a charm. Maybe you can get it again. And obviously in 2 months when this plays out. But looking at that, that's first things that come to my mind right there is it checked off twice. This run that it's had lately since June 20th or whatever, it's been pretty strong and just keeps running. And if we go back even further in the chart, it looks like what is that? Past March, even way back there, it looks like it's breaking out of its range it had previously earlier in the year.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I would definitely, yeah, I wish I could have got into that in like early June.
So, are you a like what is your like nature? Are you a like a the trend is your friend until the end, or are you a do you like to take like reversal trades?
I definitely like reversal trades. I like jumping on the trend. one of my honestly like right there, kind of seeing what it's doing there with checking off the 200 is one of my like favorite little things to look for like long-term trend and like how is this gonna last for more than 20 minutes kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I definitely look at that for sure. Um, and honestly, like one of my things that I really love doing is I love buying stuff on ugly days. If you're down 4%, 5% or whatever, like that's even more enticing for me to find an opportunity in there. Um, when there's blood running through the streets, that's the best day to buy. So, um, let my dog out real fast. Mhm. So I mean, yeah, that's kind of my philosophy, I guess, is definitely trend is your friend, but I think you got to be able to, you know, try and find your ceiling and try and get out of there.
Yeah. The 5 minute chart
I
doesn't look
just
so
missed
different
out on
than what we're getting on the daily chart. I mean,
right.
kind of far above the moving
Yeah, it's
average.
just running.
It's kind of hard to get in on this. It's like unless I had bought somewhere down here and just swing traded,
Yeah.
like it's kind of. I mean,
Yeah, where's your entry? Tough.
it seems like on the E-mini, uh, like what time does the market pull back and touch the moving average? And
Right.
it seems like I haven't like tested this or anything, but it seems like about the latest that it occurs. Like so, like what is the high point before it touches the moving average? So like here, so this would be like 12:35 would be when it pulls back to the moving average. Seems like about the latest it does it is about 1:15. So it seems like almost all of the touches occur before like 1:30. Um, I guess that's more of a I don't know, like a general approach to it. But if the market's still running up around like 12:30 or 1 o'clock, I mean, it might be time to start looking for like a shorts, at least just get like a pullback.
Right. Easy pullback trade. Yeah. I've noticed that too. It's probably everybody stepping off the desk, and tomorrow we have here in the States, 4th of
Yeah,
July. So
definitely got to keep that in mind too.
I assume volume is probably going to lighten up throughout the day with people going on vacation. So yeah, I mean that what you just went through right there with a little bit of a retractment coming. I bet you that's a good trade to be putting on right about now because it looks like we're going to start to fade a little bit.
Yeah.
Watch,
Every
I'm going to say that, and then they're just going to announce some trade deal, and it's going to explode another 2%.
Yeah, I'm gonna hold that against you.
Yeah, right.
Like every bear bar in the last since yesterday has been bought pretty quickly. Like the low of yesterday, bar one bought, and then every bear bar since then has been bought pretty quickly. Yeah, it can be tricky when you're at the all time highs and you don't really have any kind of ceiling. You're just kind of in this void.
Uncharted territory. Man, you want to talk about a stock that's just gone crazy. Rocket Lab
Yeah, I'll pull that one up.
has just absolutely exploded. Yeah, Rocket Lab's got the Palantir effect going on. It's crazy because maybe about a year and a half ago, um I think I had Palantir for like $20 a share and sold it because it wasn't doing anything.
Mm.
Now it's $134 a share. Love it.
Yeah, people. So often it seems like the biggest mistakes are like selling.
Mm-hmm. Oh, dude. Like I told you about Micron. I sold out on
Yeah.
Micron. That was a mistake. Yeah, there's been a few that I've missed the boat on. Palantir was one. I had them pretty early. I had them for cheap, and they just it was back in the day when they weren't doing anything and they were just burning money. And then all of a sudden, they're the golden child.
Yeah.
One that I've been pretty pleased with though is Qubits, QBTS, D-Wave Quantum. Very happy with them. They're making a lot of breakthroughs in quantum computing and like data management for quantum stuff.
What was the ticker?
QBTS.
Oh, QB. Oh, there we go. Yeah.
That's had a good move over the past few weeks. I haven't been into that one
Yeah.
as long, but I know my cost basis is in the single digits.
Do you have like a I don't know, a favorite one or two that you want to hold for a decade or more?
Ooh, NVIDIA for sure is one of those on the list. That's one that I will hold till the cows come home. Um, I think they're just briefly they're in such a strong place with AI. You know, they're the largest makers of mining chips for the Bitcoin and crypto industry. Um, you know, their AI modeling is really, really good. So yeah, for NVIDIA, that's just a titan ship of a name. I'll hold on to that one forever. Um, I think another one is Amazon. I'll hold on to that one forever. Their AWS revenue is increasing year over year, and that's become a more important business for them than their retail. You know, their retail doesn't really mean anything to Amazon anymore. It's all their AI and cloud computing and data services and data centers. That's what really matters to Amazon. Um, so that's another name that I think I'll hold for forever. Um, Meta, I think, is another good tech name that I would hold forever, just
Gosh, Meta has done
because
so well.
they've done lights out. Meta is
look,
the
look at that chart.
it's just insane. It's sickening.
Look,
It's
that's two
sickening
years.
to look at that chart. Look at that. Sickening. Um, Meta is just one of those names where if you want to own anything related to US social media, and kind of have exposure to the social media world, Meta is the name that you want to own. Um, they have a platform. They have I forget like a billion users. You know, I mean their platform. Everybody uses some sort of Meta product. Also, if you've seen it, the Ray-Ban Meta glasses, and Meta is now partnering with Oakley and Ray-Ban to do cameras, and so now Meta is actually putting out their own products that they're obviously partnering with, but their Meta cameras being implemented into the Ray-Bans and the Oakleys. That's another revenue stream for them, and actually that product is actually pretty good. I've had my hands on that product and used it, and I've seen the content that gets created from those Meta glasses, and it works incredibly well. There's honestly nothing else out there on the market right now that does a point of view perspective like the Meta glasses. So they have a great product there. Um, Something that's, unique to them for sure. There's no other, like GoPro doesn't make anything like that. Insta360 doesn't make anything like that. So that is truly unique to them. Um, Obviously pretty small in the grand schemes of their businesses, but just goes to show they're capable of putting out successful physical products to kind of back everything they're doing in kind of the tech sphere. But yeah, that's another name that's just solid. Trying to think kind of outside of tech, what I would own forever. Hmm.
Do you think you'll get the Meta glasses?
I definitely want to get a pair. I think for what I do with social media and content creation, it would be very beneficial. It would be a good tool to have and something that I think that me and Travis would get a lot of utilization out of, especially like during our coaching lessons and when it's just me and him riding on the track, throwing those glasses on and being able to record my point of view as he's like leaning into my helmet and yelling at me for something is like great content.
Yeah.
That is awesome content. So, and I've seen them used. I've kind of used them a little bit, and a friend of mine had them, so I kind of messed around with them. Um, they work well. I mean, it's a great product. I'm not gonna lie. It's the video that gets produced off of it is really high resolution for how small those cameras are. It's incredible just how powerful um, those glasses are. Because I mean, those cameras are basically iPhone level cameras mounted in your glasses, and it's just crazy the level of technology and how small like manufacturing has gotten. How power and capabilities we've been able to put in a set of sunglasses. It's
Yeah.
pretty crazy.
Yeah, you mentioned Amazon as one of your kind of long-term stocks, and yeah, I'm in agreement. That's what I would say would be one of mine. I mean,
Yeah, that's
their
a
moats, their moat is just too big on so many different
yep,
things.
yep. Yeah, that's a Titan ship. Um,
You know,
NVIDIA is another Titan ship. Another one that I love is CrowdStrike. That's another. I've owned CrowdStrike since like 2017, I think. It's been one of my like overwhelming, outstanding performers. I mean, I've done incredibly well off CrowdStrike, but they're again kind of going to what you're saying with Amazon. Their moat on cybersecurity is insane. CrowdStrike is protecting basically every large website and large retailer out there, from Amazon to, any sort of website that you're going to. Chances are it's protected by CrowdStrike. Um,
mm,
and famously, they have they did an interview with some of the people there that run CrowdStrike, and famously, they did an interview with how their technology actually works. And one of the things they do there is they have a wall of lava lamps. And the AI models and the cybersecurity models, there's a bunch of cameras set up on one side of the room, and there's a bunch of lava lamps on the other side of the room. And the AI models and cybersecurity basically hash keys, and basically all the keys that are being generated get generated off of the patterns of the lava lamps, because it's completely unpredictable. Um, so that's one of the ways that they secure all of their websites is they use lava lamps, believe it or not, and it actually works because you know hackers and people who are looking to breach things can guess passwords. They can guess things that are set in stone. But when you base it off of a lava lamp and something that has motion in it that's completely unpredictable, it becomes very hard to kind of crack that code. So their AI models and their security models write security based off the movements of lava lamps, which is pretty crazy to think about.
That's pretty wild. I had not heard of that before.
Yeah, yeah, it's how they were able to kind of figure that out is pretty genius. There's like 70 or 80 lava lamps that are just sitting on a wall, and there's all these cameras that analyze the movements of the lava lamps, and based on the movements of the lava lamps is how it's writing its code. So it becomes completely unpredictable because you can't guess what 70 lava lamps are doing
Yeah.
all at the same time. Oh yeah, you're pulling up pictures. Yeah, yeah, it's pretty. Yeah, if you type CrowdStrike lava lamps, they'll be and there's an interview out there too where they explain it a lot more, way better than I did, but that's kind of the gist of it. But
Yeah.
yeah, look at that. Isn't that crazy? Yeah,
Yeah, I'll
CloudFront.
definitely
Yeah,
look
so
up more on that.
pretty crazy. Lava lamps for cybersecurity. The more you know,
I mean, that'd be fun to like work on like a project like that.
right? And I want to know the guy who was sitting there around the table and was like, "Oh, I know how we fix this problem.
Yeah.
We need 100 lava lamps."
Yeah, he's like, bear with me here. Like, yeah, he had to like
Yeah,
convince
just follow
people.
me here. Now that guy's
Connection
probably worth
lost.
like $300 million.
Oh yeah. What I was gonna say about Amazon, I mean, I guess looking at this now, I mean, the price has ran up a lot since um, 2023, but like the last few years, it's really been in this kind of area around 200. And to me, I mean, I think it's going to 300 like in not too long. Um, I used
Yeah, I
to
mean, I definitely like that double bottom right there.
I used to be a manager at Amazon, and pretty much the whole time I've been like the whole time I was there, we're kind of sitting around in this range, and the whole time I'm like, well, I'm you know they do so much and they win at everything they do. Like I don't know why the price isn't higher.
Yeah, I mean, that's an enticing chart for me. I kind of like that setup there, checking off
Yeah, you're talking about
was
like
that
the
200
like the
EMA
200.
line.
Yeah,
Yeah, I like that.
I mean that 200. Like for anyone that goes back and just like looks at the 200, they will see so many touches like this. Like here, like
Mm-hmm.
it really does
Boom, boom,
matter.
boom.
I mean, it comes down to it close there, breaks through, but then touches it there. Um, breaks through, and then pulls back, and then goes. Like it really, it truly is like an important piece of like the analysis.
And then right down in there, and was it beginning of 2023? There's a good example. Every time it breaks, the next day it overwhelmingly beats the bear. You
Mm-hmm.
know, fills it in.
Yeah, I mean, and this is true with like any chart. So I mean, if someone doesn't have the 200 up, then I mean they're missing important information. I was hoping Bitcoin today would like, you know, I was hoping today would be the day. Still kind of, still kind of waiting. I mean, I think if Bitcoin's been around this like 110,000 area for so long now, I feel like if
Hmm.
we can get above it, then we really might. I don't know, 100.
Keep marching,
I
yeah.
mean, 130, 150.
Well, Michael Saylor was just on Bloomberg the other day. He's calling for Bitcoin to hit 1 million.
Yeah, I like those calls. Did he give like a time frame?
Yeah. He said within the next 30 years, which is, you know, pretty cool. Like,
Yeah,
good
right.
forecast.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, inflation
But,
alone
you know,
could send it
Michael
to
Saylor's
a
been
million.
right. Um, Michael Saylor's been one of the biggest, you know, if you follow crypto, you know that name, and he's been one of the biggest bulls of crypto and particularly Bitcoin for the longest time.
Yeah, I've been thinking he has a
Which I
pretty
mean, hey,
good.
good for him. Clearly, he's done well with it.
Yeah, yeah, he has a pretty good deal for himself because like right, so he owns like shares in this company, and they like what he does is he so the company buys Bitcoin, and if Bitcoin goes up, then the company's worth more. So then therefore his shares are worth more. So he's really got a pretty good deal for himself.
Hmm. Another company that's kind of along those lines too is MARA, Marathon Holdings or something like that. Um, they're another one of those where they're a Bitcoin miner and they have data facilities and mining facilities, but they've expanded into their holdings have gotten pretty large, and now they've expanded into power generation and renewable generation for powering those data centers. So that's a good example of a company that they started as Bitcoin miners, and then obviously with the run up of Bitcoin and how much money they've made doing all of that, they're now diversifying into other businesses and other, you know, forms and other things to obviously increase their margins on stuff by providing their own power and also providing power capacity for the grids that they're on. So they're a pretty diversified Bitcoin mining and holding company, and they've been around for a while. Kind of controversial name, but they're kind of getting their act together in terms of what their financials are doing and kind of what they're doing. So that's a name that kind of comes to mind with, you know, Bitcoin and Michael Saylor and all that.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I mean, it's good. Like if they any company that can kind of continue to adapt and find new ways, then that's. I mean, anyone that doesn't do that dies. I guess so. You
Right.
got to continue to change.
Innovate or die.
Yeah. What do you think about Snapchat? Do you have any thoughts on Snapchat?
Oh man. So Snapchat is a business that I don't understand at all. I know they sell ads and I know that that's their revenue is ads. I know that they've had some physical products like we just talked about those Ray-Ban glasses. There were a while back Snapchat was actually the one of the first companies to kind of do that with their Snapchat spectacles thing, which is essentially the same idea, just a lot harder of an execution by Snapchat. Um, when they released those spectacle glasses, it was still early days of the company. They were still basically a baby of a company when they came out with this product, and it was a resounding failure for them. Um, they didn't sell as many units as they did. The units weren't very good. It was a very cheap kind of product. Meta basically copied exactly what Snapchat did with those glasses, but they actually did it right, and their execution of it was good. Their product is good. Um, Snapchat as a company, I know their cash burn. I haven't looked at their financials lately, but the last time I did, their cash burn was just through the roof. Um, it's a business that I don't necessarily fully understand. I know it's a business that is skewed towards the younger generations. It's all short form content there. Yeah, it's a business I don't necessarily not necessarily familiar with. I don't necessarily know where they go from here. You know, there was rumors a couple years ago that Meta was going to buy Snapchat for billions and billions of dollars, and the Snapchat company and board and executives at the time shot the deal down. which is pretty surprising to me because it was a multi-billion-dollar deal, and I think it in the long road it would have not panned out for Meta and Facebook. I don't think there was anything of material there that they would have necessarily gotten. I think it was more so just a move to eliminate a quasi competitor kind of. Um, but yeah, I think that was a big mistake by Snapchat a couple years ago. I think they missed the boat on selling to Meta because, and all honesty, that platform, they don't do anything in particular on that platform that kind of sets them apart. Um, all of the features there, like messaging your friends and sending pictures and videos back and forth, every single other platform and app and social media app has that feature there. So, really what's the draw to Snapchat? I don't see it. Outside of the really younger generations and the kids, I don't really see the draw there for Snapchat. You don't see very many professionals using Snapchat. You don't see people, finishing up their interviews on Bloomberg saying, "Oh, make sure you follow me on Snapchat."
Yeah.
No, it's so
Yeah, I'm in agreement. I mean, I used to use Snapchat and I used to own Snapchat, and
yeah, me too.
um, I don't know, back in like I think back in like I don't know, back in like
You
around
got to go way
COVID,
back
I
here.
still owned Snapchat, and
Look at this chart. Look at this mess of a chart.
yeah. So I mean, I used to like Snapchat, and my problem with it is like, I mean, everything you said, I'm like, well, why, why? I don't see myself going on Snapchat anymore. I'm like, well, there's no purpose for me to go on Snapchat.
Right.
Um, they don't do anything great. They don't do anything new. Like I don't know, what are they branching out into? What like innovations are they making?
Right.
Um, and like at least if I used it, I'd say, oh well, yeah, I used it, I understand it. But now I'm like, I don't even use it anymore, and like I don't know how much like a 15-year-old uses it.
Right. Well, and now that you have, I mean, TikTok's been around for a little while, but you got TikTok and Instagram and everything like that. I just I don't I don't see it um utilized. And again, you know, let's look at who is utilizing it. It's young kids.
Mm-hmm.
It's not necessarily people with they're not necessarily consumers, they're not necessarily customers. So sure, you have a user base of all of these young individuals, but they don't necessarily have the resources to be spending on products or anything like that. So it's not necessarily even a monetized, you know, customer base. I mean, now clearly a lot of those kids are probably going to have access to their mommy and daddy's credit cards, but um, it's not your average consumer base like 20-year-olds, like college students that have some sort of discretionary income that they can spend on things.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, does one short Snapchat some way?
I mean, I think so because it's tough. I mean, it's definitely sitting in that range of what, like $9
Yeah.
and not really doing a whole lot. I mean, yeah, I think it's definitely short a bull. Um, I think it's pretty done and dusted. That deal that was, like I said, floated on the table a couple of years ago with Meta. I know that is like that ship has long sailed. So I don't see any sort of news coming out about somebody buying up Snapchat or, some sort of M&A news because, that was floated a couple of years ago. It was very evident the Snapchat board and executives didn't want to sell to Meta, which again, in my opinion, was a giant mistake. You guys should have took the bag and walked away. But um, and left Meta on the hook for a multi-billion-dollar deal that didn't pan out for anything material. But um, Yeah, I think it's definitely shortable. It's a tough name to play. I haven't traded on Snapchat in years. I've stayed away from that name for a long time.
Yeah, I guess the better short would have been. I guess the better short would have been when I stopped using it and was like, who uses this
Yeah,
anymore?
right.
Like,
That's yeah, there it is right there. And it's just crazy to think that at one time it was 80 something, 90 something
yeah.
dollars a share, and it's oof.
I mean, I don't know how they can like get any like footing back, or I mean, they'd have to come up
Yeah,
with
I
just
think
some.
those days of $80 a share is long gone. I think it's long gone.
So the market was pulling back a little bit, like you were thinking.
Yeah, so let's see it legging up a little bit here. What did it go down to the MA line and just snap right back
Halfway, went halfway to it.
halfway? Oh, good. Looks like Cleveland Cliffs is kind of breaking out of its little slump range, hopefully. It's broken out of its bands and it's still moving away from the MA line, so we'll see how that goes. I got a position open there in Cleveland Cliffs as of like a week ago, maybe a little over a week ago.
Nice, that sounded pretty well.
Yeah, it's moving upwards for sure. I think I'm up 20 or 30% on that one. Definitely a lot of bullish indicators in there. I like that divergence off the moving average lines. It's breaking out of its Bollinger Bands. I like that. A little bit of divergence there in MACD, and that's good. Volume looks good. I know Cleveland Cliffs has been kind of news driven a little bit lately. Tariffs, and then obviously there's that the deal with Nippon Steel
Mm.
and U.S. Steel, I guess, went through because I owned U.S. Steel, so I got paid out for that one.
Yeah, I see they do. They're a steel company, so yeah, they've been a lot of news
Oh
for
yeah,
them.
a lot of news. They and if you look at that, they blow that chart up into some, put some time into that chart. It's an ugly one, and that's kind of what I've said. I really like stuff like that. Where it's just so heavily under its 200 day. It's just been
Oh,
absolutely
yeah,
abused and
it just gets
battered
worse and
and
worse the more I
just
zoom out.
right. Yeah, the more you go out and the more time you put into that chart, the uglier it gets. But sometimes stuff like that, man, turns into like some of my best winners. I love ugliness, and that's an ugly chart. And look at all that room that it's made there right as of today in the past couple weeks. Look at how much it's closed up on its 200 day.
Yeah.
I would love to hear maybe another announcement around some of the steel stuffs. And see what they got. Kind of, I know they're working on, kind of things related to that. So, kind of what I said earlier, it's heavily news driven lately. But here's another ugly chart you can pull up. SLI, Standard Lithium. That's making a move now. Finally, it tightened up here over the past month or two. Well, actually, over the past year, it's really kind of tightened up into like a dollar, $2 range. And they made some announcements on some lithium stuff and some lithium mining. Obviously, here in the United States, they're going to be doing a a bigger job of mining lithium. Everything that we use has lithium in it, from your cars, phones, televisions, everything's got lithium in it as well as copper. So those are two big kind of material plays that I've been looking at. Um, and then, you look at just how much they're microizing the micronization of everything. We're making batteries smaller, we're making phones smaller, stuff like that. But yeah, you look at that chart and kind of blow it out over the past couple of years, and it's just been absolutely demolished.
Yeah, a lot of stuff got way overdone coming out of COVID. That like year
Yeah,
after COVID.
the year after COVID, yeah, that was. You can look at a lot of charts and you can see the year after COVID because it got crazy. But yeah, see a chart like this, and it's closed up all that space on its 200-day over the past, what is that, year and a half, year or so. It's just been in such a tight range. It's coiled in there just so tightly,
Yeah.
and it's finally starting to move. And lately, the past few weeks and past few months, the volume has been pretty high on it over the past little while. So it seems like it's finally catching a bid and finally found its floor. So that's definitely one of the lithium plays that I've been looking at. MP Materials is another one that's in the kind of rare earth minerals space that I've had for a little while, and that's finally kind of catching a bid. Um, Again, another one that's really heavily news driven as well, but has been doing good lately. Yeah, I got into it there earlier in the year, so I'm up on it a decent amount. I'm happy with it. It's had a good breakout there.
Yeah, you're talking about you like stocks have been like beat up. Um, yeah, I definitely like that too. Like if a company like sometimes there's just such an over exaggeration. Like the price like sells off way too much for
Oh,
like
PG&E, oh boy, yeah.
for like a silly reason. Um, I think it was on this drop here. So we were actually doing a
How's the fire?
project in in college at the time. They wanted us like to present about like a disaster that happened in it with a company. We're like, oh well, PG&E was having like bad news about they were causing like the fires and stuff,
Yeah, Paradise Fire. I remember that one.
so I think I bought at 5, and then I bought more lower like around the 3 range, and I was like, I mean, okay, like there was some accident and there was a fire. Like the fire was a big deal, but like the company's like not it doesn't that's not going to change like their numbers any, and
Right.
so like I love kind of like it had already been beaten down a lot, and then they get that last little push down. So I love trying to buy on like that when already beaten up, and then it goes down a little bit more
Yep.
for something that's
Yeah, I
ultimately
remember.
not too material.
Right. Yeah, I mean, ultimately, that PG&E situation, the Paradise Fire, was a transformer. They deemed it that it was a PG&E transformer that blew up and started the fire. So they pinned a lot of the blame on PG&E and that Paradise Fire. I remember when that one happened because here in Vegas, when that fire was raging, we got all of the smoke and the ash going to us. It came over the mountains, and where we're at, obviously Vegas is in a valley. So all of that smoke and ash came into the valley, and it basically blotted out the sun. It looked like I have some pictures that I'll have to dig up on my phone. But when you walked outside, you could smell a massive campfire, like everything was on
Mm.
fire. There was smoke in the air, and it looked like the surface of Mars. Everything was orange. It had everything had a massive orange tint to it, and you could not see the sun, and our air quality was like the worst it's probably ever been. It was honestly stepping outside, it felt like stepping on the surface of Mars. It was absolutely insane.
Do you guys get much of that with being kind of near like California.
Oh yeah. Every time California burns, we end up with the smoke from it, and we end up with I wouldn't say every time, but I'd say probably 75% of the time when there's a wildfire going on in Southern California, unless the winds are blowing it out towards the ocean, which usually it doesn't work that way. It usually blows west to east. We usually end up with all the smoke and the haze, and yeah, it's crazy because we there for a little while there, maybe like 2 years ago, we used to joke going, "Is California on fire? Step outside, you'll be able to figure it out." And that was the
Yeah.
joke because if in Vegas you could smell a campfire, that means California's burning.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and end the stream. It's about my lunchtime.
Right on.
Yeah, E-mini keeps on pushing higher. I'm 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 always curious about like monitoring it about like what time is the high before it pulls back to the moving average, and we're kind of getting,
Right.
you know, probably at most we would have like an hour and a half before it does that, based on just, I don't know, the hundreds of times I've looked at it. Like I've never seen a day where it stayed above the moving average the whole day.
Right. It's always retraced.
I don't know how many, like what percent of days could go the whole day, but I don't think I've ever seen the E Mini do that. So probably gets, if it gets to one and still kind of doing this, I'll probably try to just do like a small short position just to try to ride it back to the moving average. All right, thank you for stopping by today. Um, you were, you know a lot. It's glad to, hear your thoughts on different things.
Well, hey, thanks, man. Yeah, thanks for having me 2 days in a row. Love talking markets, and um, yeah, this is definitely what I do when I'm not on the motorcycle, and um, I love it, man. It's keeps you informed
Yep.
with everything going. Yeah, love it.
Yeah, you're definitely like in tune with what's going on. Even if you didn't like look at the news about stuff, like you could just look at the chart and be like, oh yeah, like there's something going on here.
Right. Yeah, man. Well, we got what markets are closed tomorrow, and then they close early on Friday.
Right. Cool. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and end it, and yeah, stop by anytime, and I'll kind of keep doing this throughout the summer.
Right on. Yeah, we'll keep doing it. I'll keep popping in and talking trades and to make something happen.
Nice. All right. See you, Jack. Thank you for stopping by.
See you, buddy. It was good talking with you.
Bye.